Hey guys, welcome to the Canadian Roundtable. We are here tonight with Chris and Fredrick. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Good?
Hello. How are you?
Good. Well,
Yep.
yeah, I got a few topics I want to talk about tonight. A lot of them have to do with Islam and the Islamification of Canada. Increasingly, it seems like the courts are favoring like Sharia law as well as random attacks. With now, it seems like we're starting to get acid attacks and battery attacks, right? And also with the niqab ban that's going on in Quebec, you have a lot of fake hate crimes that are going on, or not fake hate crimes, yeah, pretty much. And to try to convince the public that there is an increased amount, like people are now feel more, the need to be intolerant because the bill is being passed or whatever, right? But there's that, as well as I want to talk about the Raptors and stuff, and Toronto. That's a big thing, and there's lots of just bullshit propaganda around it, I find. Especially with that like number one fan, the super fan, that Sikh guy. And Tim Hortons just released a commercial with them, right? I'm going to show that a little bit later, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So let me check out the chat, see who's there. Hey Dino 666, hey Faye Knox, hey Boingo Bear, thanks for coming, guys. I see Dino is in the chat beforehand, being pretty prolific in the chat there.
Was in the chat for hours ago. He was just, he's like a Raptors fan waiting to get into Jurassic Park. He's just,
oh right,
so excited.
Yeah, no, exactly, right. Well, why wouldn't you be excited to be on the Canadian Roundtable? Come on,
exactly.
Good show.
Best seat in the
good
house.
Show.
Yep.
Right, Fredrick. Right,
sure,
Fredrick?
Whatever.
Right. It's
I
pretty
just
bad
when you start talking about Raptors, I'm bored as shit.
Well, right. Like, I don't give a shit about sports or basketball myself, but I'm looking at all of the, the stuff that's promoting diversity around it, right? I find it really interesting how I was watching a question period with, I think, Marion Monsef or something, like a clip, and she had like a Raptors shirt on. All these people got rap. Like, why are they promoting Raptors so hard? I guess it's because they're winning right now, but
yes,
it just seems different, right? I don't know. I guess there's a lot of bandwagon people, right, jumping on board, but they're also using it to promote their diversity as our strength narrative and all that other bullshit, right? It's like,
so for the context of this show and the subject matter, I'll give you some background on the founder of the Raptors, who was John Bitove, who was the guy who brought the Raptors to Canada. I don't know who founded the Grizzlies, but he's gone anyway, so whatever. And what he said when talking about promoting the team originally, who they were targeting it at, people were asking, why is it the Raptors? It was founded in '96, Jurassic Park. It's stupid. But anyways, why the Raptors? Why the purple and red and white and these weird colors and stuff? And he said, we're going after new Canadians. No, Barney was not involved. We're going after new Canadians, immigrants, people who don't watch hockey, people who don't watch basketball, baseball, women. We're going after young people, and the old white guys can keep their hockey, and they'll get on board. But they'll get on board eventually. There was just an interview with him maybe a week ago where he was talking, because the Raptors have this amazing success now. So I only mention that because in the context of what we usually talk about in that show, I thought you might find that to be kind of interesting. And if you look at Jurassic Park and you look at the people who are going to these games in Toronto, it's a very young crowd. It's a very diverse crowd. And that's who goes to Raptors games. And but because the team is being successful, in fact, the Raptors are now by far the most valuable sports franchise in Canada, worth about $1.7 billion. The Leafs, by comparison, is worth 1.5, and the Blue Jays are 1.4. So they've passed even the most valuable hockey team in this country for value. So now business is getting involved, and then that's also the old white
And so are
guys that the
schools.
founder talked about so apart. Schools
So
are
the
getting
schools
involved
are-
with Leafs, and the schools. My kid's school has Blue Jays days, Leaf days, all kinds of stuff. I mean, that's not unusual. But yeah,
well, when they push the Blue Jays, I tell them to wear Red Sox. When they push the Leafs, I tell them to wear the Bruins. And now they're pushing heavily the Raptors, and I just say Golden State. So
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
the NBA,
the
NBA, Major League Baseball, and NHL are getting your money regardless by buying that stuff. So there you go.
I'm not buying anything.
Well, then that's fine too. You don't have to buy anything.
a lot of it is
I
just business oriented. They're trying to make money to sell people a lot of shit and say, yada yada yada, buy these jerseys and blah blah blah. But yeah, it's just I'm just saying it's like another excuse for I guess companies to get on board. Like you see, Tim Hortons made a commercial about this, and companies are all riding the bandwagon of diversity, is our strength motto right now, our motto. And I think over time that's going to backfire, because honestly I saw Tim Hortons promoting this stuff, and it's like I stop at Tim Hortons occasionally, right? Like my brother stops there, and for work and whatnot, we get some coffee occasionally. But after seeing stuff like that, I'm like, okay, now I'm really not going to get any more of that shit, because it's just like, I understand they're just trying to make a fucking buck, but you know what? I want to spend my money with companies that are actually going to, take a stand. Like, what was that one? Popeyes or something in America that always gets like shit on? Not Popeyes, but was that chicken company that sells
KFC?
Chicken? No, it's not KFC. But it's the one that's like anti-gay.
Oh, Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, right? So it's
Chris brought me a burger from that. Chick-fil-A. Yeah.
If there was a Chick-fil-A,
it wasn't fresh by the time it got here from Buffalo, but but it was still delicious.
Yeah, I would buy that. I would patriate those things. It'd be like, okay, good. As opposed to somebody who's playing into the whole.
Tim Hortons isn't
we're
even
gay friendly. Yeah, exactly. They've been bought up for a while now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of shitty. Yeah, fucking phone call. But I'll just ignore that. People love that. Just turn off my goddamn phone.
Just tell them, answer the phone and tell them join the stream, and then hang up.
But no, I think I'll share a couple stories. I want to start with something to do with a girl in Montreal. A woman says STM bus driver didn't stop because her because her niqab. So I'll share these.
That's for the best. Because if she's got a student pass and she's got a photo ID, it's like, why am I going to bother with this? Let's just keep going. There's another bus. I'll let the next guy do it. While you're loading that up, I noticed a driver who in Brampton who's learning Punjabi. This old white guy is learning Punjabi to talk to his customers because it makes them feel more comfortable. But anyways, go ahead.
Oh, right. And I saw this, and I immediately thought too. I was like, you know what? Bus drivers have not stopped for me too, multiple times. Like,
oh my gosh,
you're like running beside them, and you're like, please stop, and they just look at you, and they're just keep going, and you're like, you fucking asshole.
Oh
like,
yeah, that's not a niqab thing. That's a jerk bus driver thing.
Yeah,
the bus is full at the front, but there's all this room at the back, and the guy doesn't tell the people to move back, and so or there's nobody on the bus, and he still pushes. Like, I mean, we've all taken the bus before. I'm getting bus TTC PTSD from all the times in the winter time I was running up their buses. Absolutely, they're terrible. They're terrible.
Yeah, they're assholes. Like I've
terrible people.
I've had an I remember Chris, they used to let those retards at school, and they had to have those helmets and stuff. We had one of those, and
they still do.
And we had one of those, and he was he got on a bus at a specific place and time, and he knew exactly where to get off, and he didn't have the exact number of tickets, and the asshole bus driver let him off like a little bit later, so he was really confused. The poor guy couldn't get home. I had to get off and help him home. Jeez. Because just they're assholes, so it's not like just this one person.
No, exactly.
Right.
I mean,
but they're gonna make it into this issue because of the whole niqab issue, right? But go ahead, Chris.
Now, if it solves the problem of people being jerk bus drivers for everyone, then great. But I think it'll just make these guys more sensitive, especially since I know in Toronto our buses have cameras front, back, side, indoor, outdoor now. So, anything that looks suspicious, they can pull the film and do that. But is there anything in the article where she gives any? And I think I already know the answer to this. It's the answers now. Spoiler alert. Is there anything in the article that talks about why she believes it was because of her niqab and not just an asshole bus driver?
Because she
actually at the stop?
Because she tracks down the girls. She somehow figures out who the bus driver was and then tracks down social media posts from 2010 talking about how she, in French, she's like, j'aime pas like the Muslims here, and I don't want them to have the niqab on. She's all saying in French, right?
Well, she's entitled to her opinion.
Right, but she's using this as saying like clearly she didn't stop because I'm Muslim or whatever. But
a driver doesn't lose their job over this. That'd be terrible.
How do you know she's 23?
Yeah,
right. That's right.
How do you know it was her?
Be a man.
How do you know it was her? There could be a whole team of people wearing the same niqab looking through social media posts.
Yeah, it could be two midgets.
One at a time.
Could be two midgets, one on top of the other one's shoulders.
A couple of kids stacked up to get into an R-rated movie.
Let's get to the story here, though. A 23-year-old Montrealer says she discovered Islamophobic post on an STM bus driver's Facebook profile after the woman did not pick her up at a stop, right? So Zinib Ben Rakbla was standing at a bus stop in broad daylight last week wearing her niqab when a bus whizzed past her. The 23-year-old Montrealer wondered why. She says she looked the driver up online and discovered a trail of Islamophobic social media posts. In 2010, for instance, the bus driver posted, "I'm so happy and in a good mood today that I love everybody except the expletive who wear the hijab or the veil. Sorry, but I can't stand them." But
9 years of social media posts.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, how did she find that?
That's not even that, but how did she even find the bus driver? Like, the driver's whizzing by. So what she called Montreal Transit Customer Service said, "Who is driving bus 5103 on the line 50 at 5:03 p.m. on?" And then they would give that information to her to look it up, or does she know somebody on the inside who gave up information? Like, I'm not sure. There's a lot of things strange about this.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like, maybe she called the Muslim Association to help her out, call some favors. But when she took to Facebook in an attempt to call out the bus driver's behavior,
I think it's ironic that she's using Facebook, but go on.
Well, this is how she says she got a hold of her, right? She said, when Facebook, in an attempt to call out the bus driver's behavior, she was soon bombarded with dozens of messages, some angry, some hateful, from Montreal Transit employees defending their colleague. Yeah. The Society to Transport de Montreal has opened an investigation into the incident. Whatever has also filed complaints with Montreal Police Hate Crimes Unit and Quebec Human Rights Commission. So it's
you notice how you know what? Most 99.9% of those comments to her were probably angry comments. How do they differentiate between anger and hate?
Yeah,
and that was purposely written in that way.
Well, look at, and she's gonna call like the human rights tribunals and the fucking hate speech shit over somebody not picking her up on a bus. Really? Like, you gotta waste
how far away was the next bus? Yeah.
Right.
Because here's the thing. As much as I don't like buses, I know in Toronto, I'm not sure about Montreal, other cities, we have a policy where the bus cannot be early, but it can be a little late or on time, because I was taking the bus until recently. Not recently, but I take it every once in a while, even today. And they have really improved from when, Fred and I were much younger, taking the bus all the time. In terms of timeliness, they actually come on time. They have an app where you can kind of see the live status of the bus. And so you actually just go to the stop when the bus is actually coming, and it's actually accurate, shockingly enough. Very, very good. So it's possible because they have to stay on. They have to try and get back on schedule sometimes. So sometimes if there's another bus right behind them, they'll skip a few stops because there's another bus coming right behind them. Unless there's somebody on the bus who requests to stop, they might skip and pass people because there is another bus like a minute or two behind, because they want to spread them out. They don't want them to get too bunched up by the stopping at every stop. And so it could have been that too. Like there's more to this. There's probably more to the story here.
She probably thought,
or maybe there isn't.
Like a garbage bag floating through the air or something. She's probably like, "Oh, it's just debris." Oh, wait, it moved. It's running towards me. Like, what the hell?
How do you even hear her? It must sound like this with the stupid thing in front of her face.
I just want to say again, I don't think
when you're talking, getting it. There has to be.
No, sorry. Go ahead, Fred. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Fred. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that, when your voice has to carry sound waves, right? No, I was just saying the sound waves can't carry through that huge cloth in front of her face.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I think she's got like a Bluetooth mic in there, like a loudspeaker, in her living room under the whole thing. Like you just don't know. You just don't know. I just want to repeat. I think the irony of her in her niqab using Facebook to find anybody, identify anybody from their face is hilarious.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, it's a completely unfair advantage. Like, if I wanted to find her, where the hell would I look?
Yeah, it's my right to cover it up. But while the driver's motivations are unclear, attempts by CBC News to contact her were unsuccessful. Well, you even got the CBC on this. Like, what were you doing? Why aren't you responding to us? The incident occurred as Quebec politicians are set to vote on the proposal law that restricts where religious symbols can be worn in the province. Among other things, the law will require Quebecers to uncover their face in order to receive public services where their identity is in question. The details are still being worked out, but that could include taking the bus. Right. So the bill has sparked heated debate, but many Muslim women in the province have reported being the target of an increasing number of Islamophobic incidents since it was tabled in March. So, this clearly it's all bullshit. Clearly it's fake. Like, just all of a sudden, some Quebecer passes a bill, or not even passing it yet, about potentially banning the hijab in public places. Now all of a sudden people feel more entitled to go out and attack Muslims. Like, this is who believes this shit? But that's all going to be put on the hate crime list, and there's another one. We're going to add this one to the list.
How do you know this is even real? How do you know she's even a real Muslim? Like,
but I mean, what's a hate crime? What's hate speech? Like, I mean, it's where are the definitions here? So
right, she's like, I'm used to people telling me, go back to your country.
Good.
You should. But the bus is in public service. You do not have a right to discriminate against me. You do not have a right to choose.
But we don't know that in the moment that this happened, that this bus driver said, oh, there's somebody in a niqab, I'm going to ignore them. A 9-year-old social media post doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean, let's say the bus driver changed. Might say the bus driver's like, I love Muslims, but I got to keep my bus on schedule because I got to keep my job. I got to pass somebody. Treating her like everybody else. As far as I'm concerned, she's completely equal now. She's a Canadian now. She was passed by a bus.
Well, according to her, she's like, impossible for her not to have seen me. On Thursday morning, the Muslim woman was waiting for the 128 bus at the corner of whatever street. The two streets are wide, relatively quiet, and residential. It's impossible for her not to have seen me. She told CBC News a day after the incident. Okay, well, according to you, she couldn't have missed you. So that's all the evidence we need. Convict.
Yep.
The bus next is The bus stop is next to the stop sign across from the street at elementary school. As the bus approached, the driver was ignoring her. She started waving her hands to get the driver's attention. How did she know the bus was going to pass right by her? Like, how did she know to wave before the bus? Like, usually you don't know when the bus is going to be an asshole and just keep going past you. You know, you're kind of like waiting there stupefied. Like, you're like, what the hell? And then they just keep going, right? And you're like, what the fuck? But so how did she have the force? Maybe she was just really smart and it's not going to stop.
And then the other thing is, there's sometimes that if you're driving, because again, there's so little information we have about this. We don't know if she was standing right at the stop. We don't know if she was sitting on a bench in the shelter and then got up a little late. And the bus driver didn't realize that she actually wanted to get on the bus because she wasn't indicating that she wanted to, and the bus driver had nobody getting off, so they decided to keep going. We don't know. We don't know if she was running for the bus and she missed it, because we only have one side of the story here. So
well, that's typical of CBC. They're very detail light, you know, on pretty much everything. I mean, they're running on a really tight budget, right?
Sure, but but I mean, when you have everybody covering the same story, like, why spread it out? Like, come on, this is ridiculous. Get some of these reporters out of Jurassic Park and get them out to cover the story in Montreal.
The girl in the black paper bag said she felt contempt in the bus driver's actions and decided to try to confront the woman. She called a friend who quickly picked her up in a car, and the pair drove to Duke College Metro station, where they knew
that's
would
how
have
they
to
beat her
make
to the
a longer
station.
stop. So she knew where the bus was going to have to go.
Okay, that makes sense. So they basically beat the bus to the station. Yeah, the end station.
Then,
that makes sense.
If you got a friend who's gonna like pick you up like that, why the fuck are you taking the bus?
Well, no, but normally,
and why would the friend?
Normally, a friend won't pick you up like that unless you cry for hate crimes. So then they'll prioritize it. But go ahead.
I don't know.
They boogie on. They must have been doing some good speed.
Yeah, it's like she got there before. Just I don't know, whatever. But walked up to the driver. She walked up to the driver, the girl in the black clothes, with her cell phone filming, asked why she had not stopped. Well, I didn't see you, the driver replied. You looked at me, she said. No, I didn't see you. I saw that you were there after, the driver said, becoming agitated. So, that's what, according to I guess the video or whatever. Yeah, she's probably being agitated. Like somebody's in your face. Why didn't you stop for me? Or there's some Muslim who's like completely hidden. In another video, so she's done this like multiple times. She filmed the bus driver flagging down police and complaining to the officers about being filmed. Well, Jesus Christ, you're harassing this lady, it sounds like.
Right. Yeah.
She posted the videos on Facebook around noon on Thursday. Soon, several people identifying themselves as STM employees were commenting in the driver's defense. See, the thing is, I'm torn.
Yeah,
I'm
torn.
Because I hate bus drivers. I hate their union. So I'm like, well.
It's true. I know. Me too. And me too. Like I said, I have TTC. That's Toronto Transit Permission for you, or for Toronto Transit Commission for those of you, or take the car, as we say in Toronto. But I'm getting TTC PTSD from all the years I had to rely on the 85 Shepherd bus and the 102 Markham Road bus and the 90 something McCowan bus and the Scarborough RT.
It's just like, no, just too many times they just see you keep going, or like, I don't know. I've ran right beside the bus and you're like hitting this window and they're like,
hitting the window, hitting the door.
Look at you.
Or even better, they keep staring straight ahead. You're pounding on the door.
They just look straight ahead. Man, I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
They're some of the worst people, I swear.
Let me flip a coin and see who I hate more.
Right. Yeah. Just let them fight it out. But so you just see all the union buddies come to her defense, right?
Yeah.
She posted the video. The employees were commenting in the driver's defense. CBC News was able to identify some as union representatives. It's funny. I was looking at this too. I was like, so what is CBC? They're like, okay, who do we side with here? Okay, well, Muslims, they're lower on the the oppression scale than I don't know, union workers. So yeah, okay, we'll go and look up which union workers are saying what, and which hateful comments on their Facebook posts. But a normal Quebecer would have waited for another bus. That's one of the representatives said in a post directed at the Muslim broad. Normal Quebecer would have waited for another bus, which is true, right? They wouldn't have been like, "This is a hate crime. I'm gonna bring you to court." Like, what the fuck? Whereas in your country, you don't even let Christian people drink out of the same fucking water fountain. You'll put them in prison, or
literally treating them like a dog or something else there too. Yeah, exactly.
Stone them to death.
Yep.
Like, oh, but you gotta give me my rights. It's like, oh, you're insane. See, they abuse these laws.
Okay, so AJ, in this article, I'm going to do a little quick internet research here. So, what bus line does it say? Which bus line it is in Montreal? I think it said the 50 or something. Or does it say the time? I think it said it at the beginning. Maybe
STM bus driver.
Scroll down. Does it
broad
say
daylight? 23-year-old says Bombard, Montreal.
Scroll down. No, I don't see it yet. I thought I heard it, but
yeah, I thought I saw it somewhere too.
Sven in the chat saying her magic carpet broke down. Wow.
Okay, yeah. On Thursday morning, was waiting for the 128 bus at the corner of Muir and Tassé streets in Montreal, Saint Laurent borough. The two streets are wide.
I'm on it.
So.
All right. And then the Muir and Tass. Okay, hang on. Muir and Tass. Good. Does it say the time-ish? Thursday morning. Okay. So it looks like this bus at this hour comes every 30 minutes. But if I were to look at another time, I'm not sure if this allows me to look at it at a different time of day. Okay. I'm doing my CSI enhance right now with the Montreal bus system. So, okay. But my theory is that the next bus is 5 minutes away, 5 to 10 minutes away. You could have waited for that. That being said, like we said earlier in the chat, in the talk, I don't know who I dislike more in this situation because I have so much PTSD from times on the bus where I was chasing people. On one hand, I'm like, great, somebody's standing up to these dicks and making them holding them accountable. But it's who's doing it that I've got a problem with.
Right. So it's like, but the story's pretty much done. It's like one of the bus drivers' profile says she found at least 10 posts insulting Muslim women for wearing the veil or criticizing Islam as a whole. In one post from January 2016, the woman shares an article about the STM's effort to hire more immigrants and calls it discrimination, which is probably true. They're probably just, ignoring white people and shit, right? Whatever. The Muslim girl shared screen grabs of the post, which CBC News could not independently verify. They appear to have since been deleted or made private on the bus driver's Facebook profile. So it's funny how you just got the CBC jumping in on this. The bus driver changed her profile picture. Go ahead.
Maiden saying that Ville Saint Laurent is full of Muslims and the buses come every 7 minutes.
There you go.
Right. So
that's exactly what I figured. One, she probably didn't want to pick her up anyways. But hey, guess what? If that's her route, that actually negates this person's argument, because if this neighborhood is a very Muslim-focused neighborhood, she's got to pick people up. This is the driver's route. This is a part of it. So I think maybe there was a scheduling item, or she legitimately didn't see the person. I don't know if the what do you call them? The bus shelters have big ads on one side that might be blocking the driver's ability to see people, but it could be something as simple.
It's like the Humboldt crash all over again.
Yeah. So, anyways.
No, I'm kidding. But but yeah, you know, the bus drivers change her profile because she's probably getting harassed by a bunch of SJWs.
Sure.
And the other pictures on profile identify her as the same person in the woman's video. On Sunday evening, the bus driver wrote several messages to the Muslim girl on Facebook saying she was on leave, though it's unclear if it is voluntary. She acknowledged the post the Muslim found were hers, but said she is not racist. So, you know, that's how powerful these cry bullies are. You know, they get you to even a union person to lose their job. All their
she is a union person, so
she's on leave, right?
I'm sure she's on paid leave.
That's true, right?
So, remember, we hate the union people too. So
she'll probably
she's on paid leave.
She'll probably get a slap on the wrist, but
she'll probably go on long-term disability, and she'll come back with a tan. And there you go.
Yeah, she's like disabledly racist or something.
Yeah. And she'll get a desk job and never have to drive a bus again. So there you go.
So the woman shared screen grabs of the exchange with CBC News. I am trying to understand your customs and beliefs, the driver said. It really was not in bad faith. Even if I looked at you, sometimes we're in our bubble. I'm sorry, and if we had a respectful encounter instead of you filming me, I would have been able to give you my version. So, you know, that's you know, no matter how much I hate union people, like that's true. It's like, yes, you're gonna show up and film her. Why didn't you pick me up at the bus stop? It's like, all right, man. Like I hate bus drivers too, but I'm not gonna follow them, get somebody to pick me up, and to chase them, and then like, you know, like that's insane. You're crazy, man. And you know, blah, blah, blah. She asked to meet in person, but the Muslim woman said she preferred dealing through official channels. Whatever. Like, who is this girl talking to? Like some fucking Muslim lawyers or something like that. Clearly, she's like, "Oh, we're gonna get everything we can out of these people."
Yep.
Yeah, you know, right?
Oh, you know what? There's going to turn into a lawsuit against STM. I promise you, she's going to sue STM. Promise you. And if she doesn't sue, she's going to go through. If she's whether or not she sues, she's going to go through Human Rights Quebec. I promise.
Well, there's clearly an organization or a group that is trying to increase fake hate crimes, and that is giving people like her fucking legal advice, or is coaching these people to do this and to, I don't know, start these fake things, because at the rate that they're increasing doesn't make any sense. And I'm just gonna say it, yeah, it's clearly fucking bullshit, and it's clearly for the intention of trying to scare the public or something from voting in these laws, or I don't know, create some way to not put them forth, because these types of laws, like banning the niqab, banning you know, certain things that have to do with like child marriage, right, etc. These things is what will keep certain people out of your country, you know, a lot of the times, because they just don't want to deal with it. They'll just rather stay there. But you know, they know it's like, you know, this law can't pass, right? If it passes, then probably a lot of Muslims, will just end up leaving at least Quebec, but they'll probably just come into other fucking provinces, you know, anyways, that don't have that. But if your whole country makes that law, and then, but you know, that's what will happen. It'll go from province to province, right? And then the province that gets all the Muslims will be like, oh my God, this is so horrible. Like, okay, we got to pass this too. We can't even go down our streets. There's no go zones fucking everywhere. There's cattle being slaughtered in the streets, all this crap. But, you know, people not showing their faces. It's, you know, I saw a picture from Philadelphia today, and it was showing something to do with like a picture from the 1940s and then from today, and it was just all niqabs, all black. And you know, I was like, man, this is crazy. Like how quickly things change. But she was going a little bit longer. She's like, it was really not in bad faith. Even if I looked at you, sometimes we're in our bubble. She asked to meet in person. The woman also tried to call. In a statement, the STM said, at all times, even on social media, STM employees are required to respect the values inscribed in our code of ethics. The appropriate measures will be taken based on the conclusions of our inquiry, the agency said. So, then just some other whore from some organization is like, she did it deliberately because she did not like what Zinab was wearing, Saad said. She was the only one at the bus stop. So this is the Hanadi Saad, founder of Justice Femme, an organization that provides moral and legal support for Muslim women who have been harassed, caught wind of the incident, blah blah blah, right? So it's probably this woman that is giving her legal advice and all this shit, right? Saad's organization responded to more than 40 cases of Islamophobia directed at Muslim women between March, when the religious symbols bill was tabled, and May. So 40 cases of Islamophobia, like what? I'd really like to look at each one of those 40 cases.
So here's case number one. I don't like your food. Racist! Right. Okay, case number two. Your hijab isn't tied properly. What? Oh, 2. Islamophobic! Okay, well, 3. Why are you wearing flip-flops in June? Oh, Islamophobic! Okay. Why are you wearing a dress and pants? Islamophobic!
But look at this narrative, right? So they're like, Ben Roth, like the Muslim girl, says she was motivated by concerns that Bill 21 debate has created a sense of impunity for those with distorted views of Muslims and other minorities. So, like, what? Okay, you were fed that line, and it makes no sense. It really makes absolutely no fucking sense for people just to, now it's okay to hate Muslims. Yeah. Like, this is just so stupid. I fucking hate these people. It's ridiculous.
I think what it's done is, since these things are literally being debated in the public square by politicians, the public is engaging in the conversation, maybe some of them not in the best way, while they're starting to express some repressed or long-held thoughts about things. And I mean, when you're repressing people and they're not allowed to speak, they have thought crimes, so to speak. Now people are feeling like they have the opportunity to speak, and maybe some of them could do it a little better, but that's part of society. I mean, even with the Raptors, you had some guys knocking out some Golden State fans walking back to their hotel the day after the game. That's not everybody. I mean, everybody was there expressing themselves, having fun, and a few dummies got involved and did something. So this is just part of public life. This is what happens when you don't live in a dictatorship in some sand-swept wasteland. This is part of the public conversation, for better and for worse. So, welcome to Canada.
Right.
Let's deal with it. Yeah,
and but there's a few other stories that had to do with Islam I wanted to bring up as well. Sure. There's this one story with this guy from Quebecer handed 30-day sentence for praising mosque shooter in YouTube videos. So, I don't know exactly what this guy said or whatnot, but people I've seen people say very similar things and stuff in my comments and whatever. So people gotta be careful what they're saying, especially if they think they're just like, I don't know, trolling or whatever. Because in Canada you can be sentenced to fucking jail for being like, he did the right thing, blah blah blah. So judge ruled Pierre Dion's comments were full of prejudices. A 49-year-old Quebec man has been sentenced to 30 days behind bars for inciting hatred through videos he posted online. After finding him guilty on May 22nd, Quebec court judge Gilles Garneau handed down the sentence Tuesday, allowing Pierre Dion to serve his sentence 1 day a week starting June 21st. So 1 day a week, but still, like even going to prison at all is ridiculous. Provincial police arrested Dion at his home in Terrebonne, north of Montreal, on January 31st. Dion posted his first video on YouTube on January 27th and January on January 29th, the second anniversary of Alexandre Bissonnet's attack on the Islamic Cultural Center of Quebec that left 6 men dead and injured several others. Dion praised Bissonnet and said he wanted Quebecers to wake up. Dion had also called the immigration of Muslims an invasion and denounced social media for what he called censorship. So if this is all he really did, like just praising him and saying people to wake up, I think that should be okay. Like that's good, cutting it kind of close, but that doesn't sound like incitement to violence to me. Maybe he said other shit, but Gano ruled that Dion's videos targeted Muslims, ruling his comments were full of prejudices, particularly when he called on Canadians to kick Muslims out of the country, right? So, it's still not a call to violence. I would say it's a call to violence. The judge described Dion's crime as heinous for adding further punishment to the Muslim community already affected by the shooting. Oh, the poor Muslim community. Like, what do they feel things collectively for years on end? Jesus fucking Christ. Shut the fuck up. In addition, the judge said he did not believe the excuse made by Dion, who mistakenly believed that his freedom of expression was limitless. The judge said there is no doubt that Dion's comments incited hatred. So that's the thing. It's not even inciting violence. It's inciting hatred. I can't cite fucking hatred. That's bullshit. I should be able to incite hatred. You should just counter my hatred with love. If you don't fucking like it.
I fucking hate the Raptors. Hate him.
Yeah.
The Raptors suck.
You should not be allowed to say that.
I hate you for hating the Raptors and hating my breads and circuses. So there.
So
hate
you're
all around.
technically inciting hatred right there. You could be put in prison.
You know what? I hate that.
Well, I hate you hating me on my...
But see, Canada's hate speech laws make it a criminal offense to advocate genocide, publicly incite hatred, and willfully promote hatred against an identifiable group.
What's the
definition
of
hatred?
hatred?
A broad definition. What's that
what's
mean?
the definition of hatred? Exactly.
What does that mean?
No
like,
definition. Yeah.
Hey guys, we got to worry about bringing in a lot of Muslims. That's hatred. Like, do I got to fucking worry now about just speaking honestly about Islam and the threats and shit, because it seems increasingly so, right? Like, I don't know, fuck. You just got to be somewhat careful, I guess, what you say, but nonetheless, like, I don't want to censor myself in any way whatsoever, so I'm just going to just speak the way I normally speak, and something comes of it, because it's just bullshit, right, to begin with. And I'm not gonna just cuck, essentially, just say absolutely nothing, because what's the point of then having a YouTube channel? What's the point of talking about this stuff if you have to censor yourself to begin with, right? It's stupid. I'll stop sharing this. Let me check out the chat. Hey Fredrick, what's up, man? You've been quiet kind of lately.
No, I'm just listening. Like, I mean, it's what can I say? Like, we're getting to that where it's a slippery slope where we're skating uphill. I was talking about stuff today. Even today, I was talking about how taxpayers are funding Chinese, and I'm sure there's other groups too, right? I'm just picking on that one group because I'm familiar with that group, and I've been looking into the Monshong Foundation and the other Chinese retirement foundation, and I got a copy strike on it by playing a YouTube video of Justin Trudeau pimping out the Monshong retirement home.
But you understand that the act of doing a copy strike, the act of doing a copy strike on that is not because of any copyright issue. It's basically been weaponized to shut you down, to shut down that video. That's the purpose of that.
Yeah, it's
copy striking it. Yeah. They take it down because they don't want the message getting out.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll show you guys a. Oh, go ahead.
Of course. No, because they don't want. No, they just don't want me talking about it, and they don't understand what fair use is because I'm going to challenge it because I didn't have voice on. I might have had a little bit. I paused it and.
They understand it very well, but we're just weaponizing YouTube's rules to shut down the video to prevent the message about the shenanigans getting out.
Did you just get like a strike? Like it didn't affect your content in any way? It just gave you like a content strike, or did it give you a community guideline strike?
It gave me
just a copyright strike.
No, a community guideline.
So you got a community one. Okay, so you can't stream now anymore, right? What you're saying?
Well, I don't know. I'll try. I got shut down earlier today. I had another stream. I was playing some stuff, and
yeah, because like I've gotten a copyright strike on one of my latest videos, but it didn't do anything, right? It didn't it just said, "Oh, you can't monetize this video anymore." I'm like, "Well, I didn't have them monetized anyways, so oh well." But if you get a community guideline strike, then you can't stream for, I don't know, 30 days or I forget how long. But, or maybe that's 2. No, I think you get 1. Yeah, one can't stream.
No, here's what I got. I'll read it. Sorry. A copyright owner using content ID claimed some material in your video.
Whatever then.
This is a copy strike. Yeah,
that's fine.
This is a copy strike. This claim was not affect your. Okay, so it doesn't.
No, so that is somebody claiming that they own some of the content in your video to force YouTube to either pull the video, or if you haven't monetized, that any revenue from that video goes to them and not to you.
I can't even read who was claimed by. It's Chinese person. It's like in
and that alone tells you exactly what it is. That there you have content and in a video that so again there should be some recourse there for you to challenge that, to say okay, prove that you have the copyright, or what exactly has been copyrighted. Give me the time and the minutes and second that I'm showing you are talking or producing some kind of copyrighted material, and let YouTube produce that information. You should absolutely challenge that. Because really what they're doing is they're doing it to shut down I promise you, they're doing it to shut down the conversation.
Well, of course, I'm talking about the Manchong Foundation and I've actually found a little bit of public record on it's the Sunshine List and how much money these people are making, and I'm trying to get more public records because I want to find out exactly. They had this. There was another retirement foundation where everybody was there. Our mayor, the Markham mayor, was there in his usual, size 2 Chinese clothes, where he's like a size, 50. Yeah,
that's real. Yeah, that's true.
Right, Chinese, right? Fuckers, those fucking Chinese.
Actually, during today, they actually, when I was streaming so there were some people in the chat that were talking about I was talking about multiculturalism, how it doesn't work and whatnot, and then I was showing, because they were saying, oh no, Chinese people they treat the elderly really well, and I said no, they don't, because I don't know, I brought up the case where they stuck that elderly person in the garage. Remember that, Chris? Mm-hmm. And I brought up some videos where they just keep running people over. They don't care. They just walk by the body, and then YouTube was giving me on the stream, in my stream message, you are showing content that's not what did they say? You are showing content that is not approved by YouTube. Please shut it down, or we'll shut your stream down. And I'm like, this is on YouTube. So it's I don't know. They've tightened down. So whatever. I mean, I'll keep doing what I'm doing.
All right. Well, yeah, I want to show this tweet from earlier here. So this is pretty fucked up. I think that gives you kind of a perspective on what a lot of these newcomers think when they enter Canada, right? It's not exactly what a lot of people are led to believe, right? They're not going to integrate as well as you may think. And they're getting more and more bold and open, willing and open to say what they really think, in my opinion, or but I'll play it right here. And this is, I think, at one of the this is Iranian Canadian participants at Toronto Cuds Day rally. I don't consider myself Canadian, right? So Canada is a racist colonial project like Israel. Will be destroyed, right? So okay, we'll play this here.
Canada is a white supremacist, colonial, racist project, as is Israel, as is the
Oh, of course, it's gonna like fucking slow down.
So give up your passport. Give up
I
your.
consider myself to be a Canadian because this is Indigenous land and this land is occupied. So the people who are here, whether they are settlers, we firstly need to educate ourselves about what has happened on this land and what is continuously happening in order for us to be able to understand what our government or this government is doing on abroad and on overseas.
I don't know what does that.
This is the resistance that we're going to continue to see, and as a result, neighboring countries and those who are fighting in solidarity all around the world will also rise with the Palestinians, and we will see in the next 20 to 25 years the decline and the ultimate destruction of the illegal Zionist state. This is for certain. This is not a conspiracy theory. The Zionist regime cannot continue to continue this path as injustice and all oppressors are doomed.
Well, I don't really mind that part, right? But it's like, part of it was okay. No, but it's just, they're saying Canada is a fucking racist. I don't consider myself Canadian. Canada is a racist, colonialist project like Israel. This isn't your land. This is native land. Like, I'm so sick and fucking tired of that fucking line. It's like, no, it's not. It's not their land. Okay. You're not coming because natives were roaming around on buffaloes, and you came because of the shit that the settlers fucking built. And now they have the audacity to be like, well, this is not your fucking land. It's like, what?
Of course they have the audacity. We gave them the audacity. We allow them the audacity, right?
Yep.
Well,
So nobody goes up to
I guess I'll
nobody
go
goes. Nobody,
beat them.
no,
You want to?
well, no, nobody goes up to him and, hey, listen, stupid shithead. Why don't you shut up and stop talking garbage?
They're taught this in their they're clearly taught this in like their social justice class or something, right? That we're oppressors. They teach these people this, that, so they feel even more empowered to speak like this and less willing to assimilate or try to assimilate in any way, because why would they? Yeah, they have teachers literally promoting the opposite, saying this is actually native land and we have more laws. We just keep giving the natives more rights. Like, there's this UNDRIP thing I wanted to talk about, and how it's pretty much giving them the ability to veto pretty much every construction project and natural resources project that we have, which would pretty much spell the disaster for Canada and our industry for the future, because we'd have to pay off groups of Aboriginals, and it would only be going to the certain select of them. The majority, it wouldn't be going to like the majority of them. They would get crumbs, right?
You know what would help to pay off the Aboriginals? Development.
Yeah, right. But
it's like they're cutting off. What's the saying?
It would
spiting their face by cutting off their nose. Like, come on.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, the average Aboriginal person you meet on a street, and trust me, I know there's a lot of Aboriginals in Winnipeg. It's not like they're thinking about these developments that are going on right now, and they're getting like a cut of the action for all these things. It's like, no, it's like the Métis Federation, these groups, these other groups that are getting all the money, and then the rest of the people, don't really get to see any of it anyways. So it's stupid, right? And those people would be much better served if they just allowed those industries to come and build. But they're also fed like, this is your land, and they're blah 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 and whatever. Whereas that can never work. Like, we can't have two Canadas where there's one group of people that have like authority over the country and able to dictate shit, whereas like you're paying as much or way less taxes than everybody else, but somehow you have all this extra ability because of what you were here first or something like that. That's bullshit. It's ridiculous.
Hey, have you heard, just on the whole native shit, have you heard that Trudeau gave permission to OAS to investigate genocide in Canada? Like, what the fuck? Who are they gonna accuse for whatever? It's not genocide to me, but the supposed genocide. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. It's clown world. Totally.
If I were these native groups who are protesting the development, these pipelines and things, I would negotiate a cut of any profits that due to these or any revenues that come from these pipelines going through my land, and negotiate the heck out of that, along with negotiating any kind of cleanups or anything if there's any spills, and try and get some jobs or something, or even no jobs. Just give me a cut of the revenue, just something. I don't. I get the environmental impacts. They would blow it
in a week on booze.
No, hey, you know what? But that's still on them, and they're still going to have their hand out. But
I know.
At the same time, but I mean, that's just the smart thing to do. Or say, oh yeah, it's your land. Yes, but this is 2019, right? You guys aren't running around in loincloths anymore. You're running around dressing like me. So this is what we do in 2019 to make use of the land. To do that, you're not running around on the land. You're complaining that the cost of the grocery store is too expensive in the north because you're not exactly going out hunting buffalo. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these guys you need to figure out what they want to do. You need to figure out what they want to do. I don't know.
Right. That's that's the thing, and like this is what I was talking about with the the story here with the UNDRIP and the Aboriginal Association. So like Senate committee passes UNDRIP bill, Tories warn of Indigenous veto. So senators debate what exactly free, prior, and informed consent means for natural resource projects. So the Senate Aboriginal Peoples Committee has passed a bill that will implement the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, UNDRIP, in Canada over the objections of conservative senators who say they fear adopting legislation will give Indigenous people a veto over future natural resource development, which it will. The legislation, introduced as a private member's bill by NDP MP Romeo Saganash, will now go back to the Senate chamber for the last legislative phase of debate and final vote. During this morning raucous committee meeting, Conservative Senator accused committee chair Liberal Senator Lillian Dick of, with the support of independent senators, unfairly railroading opposition to legislation by refusing to allow some Tory senators to fully speak for their concerns, right? So you think the Senate belongs to you. It does not belong to you. It belongs to the people of the country, and we have the right to speak. But yeah, this is one of the conservatives wasn't allowed to speak during it. But UNDRIP recognizes the rights of Indigenous people to be free from racial discrimination, to self-determination, to autonomy with regard to their internal and local affairs, and to financial compensation for confiscated land. So, that's so crazy to me. It's like, okay, no, internal and local affairs, self-determination. So they're going to have self-determination, and that would be great. Honestly, I want self-determination though too. Why does only Aboriginals get that shit, but they also get a bunch of money from the government as well? See, that's why it doesn't work. It's you need to either have full self-determination, but then you're not a part of Canada and you don't get anything from Canada, right? Like this shit, the way it is working right now is just, it's just going to create more tension between groups of people anyways, right? Because, when you have these groups of certain Aboriginal groups that are not, and a lot of these Aboriginal groups support building pipelines too, right? So there's also that too, and it's only some of them that are stopping this. But when you see a bunch of certain groups of people preventing your jobs and your industry from coming into your country, well, what do you think that's going to cause? It's going to cause, more tension, more hatred between people. So that's not good. That's why people can't have this excess amount of power to say like, oh, well, if you want a pipeline built, you got to get our recognition or blah, 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 and our consent. And they're kind of playing this off saying that, well, it's not a veto. They just need your consent and they need to be happy with everything. It demands state obtain free, prior, informed consent before approving activity on Indigenous land, including natural resource extraction. So what is Indigenous land? Well, they pretty much consider all of Canada Indigenous fucking land. So, then it says, if the UNDRIP legislation C-262 doesn't pass by the end of June, it will die in the order. So hopefully that happens. While independent Senate Murray Sinclair, the bill sponsors in the upper house, has said the bill isn't designed to give Indigenous people a veto, independent and liberal members of the committee voted down a Tory amendment that would have explicitly stated that was the case. So they're like, it's not a veto, but we're gonna vote down the amendment that would state it's specifically not a veto. It's not a veto, but we don't want to make sure it's not a veto. Conservative Alberta Sen. Scott Tanis proposed a new clause that would have stated free, prior, and informed consent as referenced in the schedule of this bill should not be interpreted as an ultimate veto, but simply as one aspect of consultation. The amendment was defeated. So veto is simply a phrase which, in its Latin roots, means I forbid. Indigenous people are not being given the right to forbid. They are given the rights to require their consent. That's totally different, Sinclair said. It's totally different. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Bill C-262 alone won't accomplish the full implementation of the declaration. It is not an actual attempt to legislate each provision of declaration. The bill would have to be a lot more explicit if that were the intention. It would have to take each article and say, this is now federal law. We don't read it saying that said large and, they're like, we don't read it that way, blah, blah, blah. So that doesn't mean anything, right? But free, prior, and informed consent is not defined in the UN Declaration, and there is no international or domestic agreement on the meaning of the principle of free, prior, and informed consent. So they don't even know what it means. So it's so fucking broad. Said Rose Pate, Assistant Deputy Minister of the Implementation Sector of Crown Indigenous Relations. Free generally means consultation with coercion, without coercion, intimidation, or manipulation, and prior implies that consent is sought sufficiently in advance, while informed implies information provides, blah, 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 right? So, just more, they're really trying to destroy our energy sector in Canada, it seems like to me. They're trying each and every bit to help, I don't know, China or other countries, get the hold on our energy sector compared to, all the shit that we have to go through, and we have to get consent from all these different groups. And that's what stopped that last pipeline, wasn't it? Was, the group of Aboriginal people or something, or that one group that said, they didn't consent to the pipeline being built. And now it's on hold for another year or something. It's probably never going to be built. Right. And it's just disgusting that's happening in Canada. But, what do you do? That's what you get. And the old Canada. But I got another video I want to share here. 1 second here.
While you're doing that, a quick bread and circuses update. The St. Louis Blues are on their way to their first Stanley Cup. They're beating the Bruins 4-0 in Game 7 in Boston with less than 4 minutes to play. So there you go. Congratulations, St. Louis Blues. Unless you blow it in the next 3 minutes, you're going to have the Stanley Cup. Bread and circuses update complete. Carry on, AJ.
Security camera, a cyclist is accused of assaulting a family.
The parents out for a walk with their baby when they had a corrosive liquid thrown at them. CTV's Janice Golding is working on this disturbing story. Janice.
I knew it was going to happen. It was.
She and
her family were doused with the substance out of a Drano bottle here on Clinton Street last week. She says she's not sure exactly what the substance was, but it burned their skin and bleached their clothing white.
So they were walking from that direction this way, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Alex McMiniman says she was taking a break from work Thursday afternoon when she heard a family's upset cries.
He had told me that somebody threw Drano on them and their baby and their dog, and they're just trying to clean it off.
A 7-month-old infant, a couple in their 30s, and the family dog all coated in a corrosive substance.
I was upset. That's horrible that someone would do that.
Police released the surveillance image.
I got a little bit in my eye, on my face, on my arm. The baby got his shorts and his shoes and his leg, his bare leg was exposed, and that got splashed.
A Toronto mom who does not want to be named told CTV Today that she and her husband had stopped to look up a home listing on Clinton Street when a man came into view. She says he started muttering something at them, so they walked away in alarm.
Just moments later, he was coming at us on a bike and tossing that substance at us. It burned.
Witnesses say a man took off on his bike yelling and screaming. Meanwhile, a nearby restaurant owner ran and grabbed water and rags so that the family could clean themselves off. Massimo Iono was arrested. The 45-year-old appeared at the Old City.
What is Massimo Iono? What name is that?
Could be Italian.
Italian.
Okay.
It looks Italian too.
Yeah. I was like
3 counts of assault with a weapon, 3 counts of public
Massimo.
mischief, and 1
Hey!
a noxious substance.
The thing that makes me the most upset is thinking about the what if. What if
Aposto Adreno.
bleach in our baby's eyes or mouth? What if
Massimo!
even more
What's the matter with you?
damage to our baby?
Yeah, I just ran outside the door.
McMiniman says, well, it didn't happen to her. It's still very disturbing. They seem upset.
Yeah, they seem very upset. I would have been upset. I'm a mom, so I definitely wouldn't have wanted that to happen when I have my baby with me, let alone by myself.
Iona's hearing was put over until June the 12th. Now, there is a publication ban in effect, so we can't...
Why is there a publication ban?
Smash.
Probably because he's going through the...
Smash or pass 1 or 2 in the chat.
Tell you much about
Can I do both?
Courtroom today. However, I can tell you that Iona was dressed in a
It makes no sense.
dark winter park.
No, I smash and I pass. Go. Smash and run.
If you smash, then you can't have passed already because you've already smashed.
Okay, I call a smash and run.
Box reporting live from Janice Golding.
That's just what you do anyways.
Now back to Michelle.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Janet. But yeah, so it's some Italian, but still, he's probably a secret Muslim or something. Most likely. No, but who the hell throws acid on a fucking baby? And why is that? Is that going to become a thing now in Canada? We have to worry about acid attacks, random people.
It's a thing all over the world. Acid attacks, actually. This was actually more of a bleach attack. In all fairness, let's not misname this. Let's not be imprecise. So yeah,
it's
some crazy dude who.
You know what?
So do we know anything about the family who was actually attacked though? Like we saw that smash or pass situation, but.
Orange juice is acid. If you throw orange juice on my face, you're technically throwing acid on me. Okay, so am I still sharing? All right, so what other story I was going to show here? I got one more to do with Muslims. Yeah, this is the one. So Sharia law makes comeback in Ontario. So 2 Muslim men, an activist turned Sharia mortgage seller, and an Islamic cleric who sold his Islamic seal of approval on such mortgages were acquitted on Friday of a dozen criminal charges by an Ontario Superior Court judge who validated aspects of Sharia law in reaching her decision. Justice Jane Ferguson described the trial as a huge learning curve in Islamic finance. So a little bit of nonsense there. And now comes the 68-page judgment of Justice Ferguson in a case of Omar Kalar and Imam Yusuf, who were alleged by the Crown to have unlawfully taken millions of dollars in mortgage money from Khalir's Sharia-compliant mortgage company. The two accused were charged with theft, fraud, and money laundering that involved 15 gold bars that are still missing, silver coins, and 2 million fatwa fee by Islamic clerics. The complex plot involves a tiny minority of Muslim homeowners in a GTA who were warned by Islamic scholars that taking a conventional mortgage from a bank was an act of sin, as it involved paying interest to the loaner. The overwhelming majority of the Muslims, however, know that Sharia mortgages promoted by the mullahs are akin to priests selling indulgences by simply changing the word interest and calling it a fee. The transaction supposedly becomes Islamic. So, it's so funny how people just bypass their strict religious codes so fucking easily. Well, you just call it a fee now. It's not really interest because we'll just say it was already a cost to begin with, and you can get around paying your fucking interest. You're like, this is ridiculous. But Justice Ferguson in her decision stated, even if Khalir's understanding of the application of Sharia law was wrong in law, I find he honestly believed at all times and had reasonable grounds to believe that he was acting appropriately under the circumstances. So Justice Ferguson ruled the Crown had not proven his case beyond a reasonable doubt. The Ontario Superior Court judge relied on testimony by an overseas expert named Abdel Kadar Thomas, who appeared via video to educate the court about Islamic financial products.
Jesus Christ.
And then the judge then educated them about Canadian law, and the conversation was over, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and who Justice Ferguson credited for educating her about Islamic banking terminology. So, it sounds like the judge was like, "Oh, thank you for informing me about Islamic law and teaching." Oh, in her judgment, Justice Ferguson writes, "I initially believed that an unwillingness to pay conventional interest on a loan appears bizarre, until I learned that the payment of interest is considered a serious sin in the Islamic faith and violates a central pillar of Sharia law."
But then she said, we have Canadian law here, and here's what it is, and it overrules any nonsense Sharia law, right?
No, it's not what she said, right?
Surprising. Go ahead.
Until I learned that the payment of the interest is considered a serious crime, this understanding was essential in my understanding of Khalir's operating mind. So, since when is ignorance of the law the ability to commit a crime? Since when? He thought he was abiding by his Sharia law, and
But in Canadian law, the ignorance of the law does not justify breaking the law, and she explained that and sentenced him, right?
Right. Well, this sets precedent too. This understanding was essential in my understanding of his mind. Thomas' evidence was also educative regarding industry standards against which Khalir's conduct must be assessed. So, Justice Ferguson shared facets of Islamic culture that she picked up in in what she referred to as her steep learning curve. So, like, somebody come behind her in the middle of a room with like a knife, was like, "You better fucking, oh, I got a steep learning curve, learn about Islam. Holy shit, guys! I didn't know that you guys did it this way. My bad. You can get away with whatever. I don't." Steep learning curve.
But the funny part, they have like a major franchise of Muslim banks in Ontario, in Toronto. Like, they're all over the place. So she's full of shit. Pay the interest, bitch, or get a huge fine. Fuck off. She's just full of shit. There's a Muslim bank there on Middlefield and Steeles. I know one there. I've seen it. It's called ICICIC.
Yep,
something,
ICICI. There's Habib Canadian Bank. There's the Islamic Bank
Yeah.
of Canada.
All over the place.
There's
No interest.
Yep.
She's
Yep.
just
They got something else. They have another way of getting their money that way, but it's not typically interest. They have another term for it.
Well, the thing is though, she's just using this as an excuse, and you know, the judges used to state ignorance is no excuse for the law, and she's now playing the ignorant card. But these activist judges, which are a problem across the nation, just seem to be creating fucking new laws. And no one seems to be doing anything about it.
Yeah. Look, with respect to anyone's culture, where they come from, whatever, the law here is the law. Like, if he's violated the law, sorry you didn't know or educate yourself. If you're in business of any kind here in Canada, you have to educate yourself on the laws and whatnot. Got to pay your taxes. You got to do what it takes to stay in business here. It's not like you just set up and do things like you always did where you go. Ignorance of the law, to your point, Fred, is not a justification. It's not an excuse. That's my understanding. So I think that judge needs to be.
I tried to pull that excuse when I got a speeding ticket, and I was like, I didn't know it was like 50.
I swear, I need to get a shalwar kameez and like that little beanie cap, and just grow a little bit of a beard and be like, yo, this in my country, we just kind of speed through the desert like real fast. So I didn't know, bro. Well,
it's
white driver's license. It's not mine. I was wearing a niqab when I got my driver's license, so maybe it was me.
My name is, from now on, my name is Mustafa Ayinden. Okay, I am Mustafa Ayinden.
So you're not Fredrick Chen anymore. You're Mustafa Ayinden.
Was never Chen.
Well, no, what you need to do. You need to self-identify as certain cultures. Kind of, just what are we doing these days? Like gender?
No,
you're cultural fluid. You're cultural fluid.
fluid.
And I think that extends to whether or not that could extend to whether or not you know English when you get pulled over. So you're language fluid too.
So when these guys try to come and read my meter and overbill me on my hydro, I'll just say I'm a native. My name is Wanton Teepee. And you come on my property. This is my land. You have to get permission, or I'm going to veto you.
Yeah, this is my secret. This is my sacred land. my lawn in my front and my back of my house. This is my sacred land. Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Right, I'll keep reading this here. Commenting on the 15 cold bars paid to Islamic scholars instead of a check to the amount of 2 million, she wrote, "There's a cultural attraction to gold in Islamic communities. Gold has an ancient religious connection to Islam as one of the 6 staple goods mentioned in the Quran. However, as Australian Imam Muhammad Tawhidi, currently in Toronto, told me, Muslim men are prohibited from wearing gold and silk." He added this was a directive from Prophet Muhammad himself, not some later day scholar in the Arab Gulf. So, she's just being fed a bunch of bullshit. Oh, the gold is, it's a part of a pillar of our faith, and that's why we have it. Blah blah blah. After the judgment, Omar Kalar boasted in a statement, "This decision by Justice Ferguson, in my view, is a victory not only for myself, but for the Islamic finance industry. That actions we take due to our religion are accepted in certain courts." So what exactly is a free mortgage?
Dangerous precedents. Dangerous precedents.
Yeah, not a good precedent to be setting, right?
Oh boy. It's a nice little foothold for Sharia law. Lovely.
I told you it's these activist judges to keep every slip and slide that they do. We just get closer and closer to losing what was Canada, and then we'll be, because I talked about this before, right? I talked about that an ethno state, and there was someone that left a comment on that video where it was talking about really it's nationalism. We need to be more nationalist, and because like I took the example, if you had 10 people in the room, right? And, let's say you have 5 Anglo-Saxons and 1 was Italian, 1 was black, and 3 were Indians. But as that number of Indians keeps growing, they're gonna claim that because we're telling them they're Canadian, they're gonna want to claim certain specific special rights for themselves. And what are you going to say to, well, you're not really Canadian anymore. So like, it just gets dumber, and it's a stupid slippery slide. And these fucking judges got to stop. They really got to stop. They did that thing with the gypsies. Now, apparently, living in Hungary is it's not a safe zone. They're running away from war and disease and famine. Fucking Hungary. This is it's going to keep going like this. You'll see. That's their goal. Don't tell me it isn't their goal, right? It's the goal of every ethnic tribe here that starts to grow in numbers. And not that I say that's
completely ignoring that the stuff that they're pushing for is exactly what doomed wherever the hell they're from, and that they escaped allegedly to come here. Was completely oblivious to that. Yeah.
Well, these people identify what they hate as well. I said this about the Chinese. I'm saying this about the Muslims, right? They identify themselves about their enemy. That gives them some merit and goal. And who's their enemy? Christians. Everybody. Everybody that's not them.
Western
the kafir.
society. Yep.
The kafir, right? Yeah. And the thing is, they continuously blame the West for everything, but they never look inwards, and they never look at their own shithole countries, which seem to be in conflict with each other. Saudi Arabia and Iran as an example. Right. And 600 years of this.
Right. 600 years. But yeah, I threw the link in the chat. So anybody wants to hop on, old white guy, Raging Humanist, Joe Hazelton. I don't know if Julie's still in there. Anybody hop on, feel free. It's open. We're still going to be on for a little while. But let's see what else. I wanted to also talk about the Raptors, right? So I'll show this one video to do with that, the mega fan.
Nav Bhatia is his name.
Nav Bhatia or whatever.
Yeah.
So this is from Tim Hortons.
I've seen it all.
Love the Tim Hortons logo.
Sorry.
Oh God, it sounds like my work.
Logo.
Yeah, you're being taken back into your work.
Courtside, seat A12. And for the first time, Raptors are in the finals. And the whole world is looking at this seat. Some see Indian. Some see Canadian. Some see both. Some see a turban.
Fuck you.
I hope they see diversity and loyalty. I hope people
diversity and loyalty. Why do you hope they see that specifically? Why can't you just hope they see, like, I don't know, love and unity or something? Diversity.
Did they let him in? Did they let him in? Bring a kirpan in the stadium?
I promise you, a kirpan in the stadium.
You mean like a sword or a dagger?
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know what the fuck that thing is.
It's like what? Why is this guy like the mascot? He was like, I don't know.
He's a mascot because he's never missed a Raptors game in 24 years. He's been in that seat for every single game, including a lot of terrible years as a Raptors fan. He's never missed. Drake is like a Johnny come lately compared to this guy. So, yeah.
Well.
And frankly, that has really promoted his business as well. It's really promoted his business as well. The car dealerships he does, he's done some nice things in the community as well. But yeah, the message here, I'm a little.
I'm sure he's a great guy, right? I'm sure he's a great. You're cutting out there, crazy.
Jesus Christ, he's a car salesman, really?
Yeah, he owns dealerships.
He's a car salesman.
Yeah, he started out as a regular salesman and ended up buying 2 dealerships. So he's got them out in Brampton and Mississauga.
Oh, so he's a shyster then.
Well, of course.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But he also now he buys about 20 seats and he invites people from the like Rexdale and some of the disadvantaged communities to come to every game. So
stop sucking his dick.
He's a good guy.
Nobody's attacking the brown man. I don't like the narrative, right? You know, it's
no. I agree. I agree with I agree with you 100%. The narrative is the usual party line.
You know, that's the thing too. It's like that's what I don't like. You know, they'll show things and it's like, look how great this guy is. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's awesome. He probably is a great guy, but you know, it's all for the specific purpose of just trying to get people not to look at the bad sides of immigration and only the good sides of immigration.
Yep.
And that's what I don't like. You know, it's only ever that one perspective that people are being fed, right?
And when you're only getting one side, it's not a real conversation because there's good and bad to everything,
right?
And it has to be discussed.
And there are people that are going to come into Canada. There are immigrants that will contribute to Canada, that will create jobs, that will be good people, that will help others, and it'll be genuine benefits to the society at large, right? But it's like, yeah, like I'm saying, it's just they only promote this narrative, and you know, it's Tim Hortons, and look, they got a gay fucking flag too to throw that in there as well. You know, we're gay friendly, diversity friendly, but yeah, that's understandable, right? I guess at the end, like, you know, it's business, right? You know, they're trying to appeal to a large market. I don't necessarily blame you for that, I guess, but when you're making propagandistic commercials promoting the
for
diversity
a
narrative,
company that's in Brazil, it's not even Canadian. Right. They're pushing this Canadian bullshit, and it's a holding company that can't even that won't even pay real wages, so kids in the summer can get a job.
Or hire Canadians. They're importing them from the Philippines and everywhere else. Yeah.
Oh, right. They're one of the
really a terrible corporation. Tim Hortons has become.
Yeah, they're one of the biggest. I think consumer the TSW programs as well as like McDonald's and the other ones. But so, you know, fuck Tim Hortons, you know, to shit, but people are addicted to it. It's ridiculous, man. I know. In Winnipeg, at least, there's like lineups in cars sometimes in the mornings, and they're like pretty much parked in the street. You're like, what the fuck is the matter with you?
Yeah, well, you know, my father used to say, "Oh, it takes quality to recognize quality." But you know, if you guys knew what the fuck goes into Tim Hortons coffee, it's dirt. It's dirt. That's what they say. Oh, get that earthy smell because
your dad's a piece of shit.
Huh?
Your dad's a piece of shit.
Well, you know,
quality to recognize quality.
But it's true, right? If the shoe fits, wear it, right? But the point. But hold on. You know, the point.
Just have shitty palates. You know, don't blame people for having shitty palates. You know, that just. You know,
that's bullshit. That's a cop out.
Yeah, no.
You can develop a palate.
If you don't have caviar, then you're not fucking you know, a good person. Like you're low scum or something. Like, come on.
All right, well, let bygones be bygones. But I'm gonna say this though: that coffee is dirt. It's mostly
you drink Starbucks.
I don't drink Starbucks. That coffee's shit too. I drink Timothy's, or I drink Second Cup, or I make my own.
Yeah,
I'm partial to McDonald's and coffee culture.
McDonald's actually buys high quality because I had a project at a what do you call them?
Mother Parkers.
Yeah, but what were they fucking called? They're not a brewer, they're a roaster, right? And you know, all of their clients, Tim Hortons, you know, Timothy's. So I kind of knew what goes into the coffee, and the coffee bean is becoming extinct. Like Colombia is going to be in big shit because all their coffee bean species are dying out. There's only a few more places on this planet that they're like bananas, right? So when they say that it has that earthy smell, when they're taking the beans, they collect a little bit of the scraps of the branches from the coffee bean and a little bit of the dirt around it. So that's why they say, oh, it's got that earthy smell and shit. That's why that's why Tim Hortons has that weird stink about it. It's not that they're burning the coffee. It's just that the coffee's shit.
You're just a snob. You're just a sucking snob.
No, well, if you prefer, drinking dirt.
I agree. I agree. It's shit. It's shit coffee. Like it's a lot cheaper. It's cheap. That's the thing, right? Comparatively, but it's not even that cheap anymore, right? But
No, but
like, I bought a thing of Maxwell House for like $6. A whole fucking one of those things. And
that's even better, right? The thing is, though, they're pushing on the emotional nationalities of Canadians in the wrong direction. They're like, oh, look, Canada, Tim Hortons, it's not Canadian anymore. And oh, look, Canada, a Sikh Indian, we should be happy because a Sikh Indian likes basketball. So
right, yeah, it's I get it. Like I actually like the people of different communities and races and shit can get together, right? And overcome differences and have fun together and not beat each other's throats. I think that's a great thing, to some extent. But just the underlying, diversity is our strength message without, it's like this is a very specific situation they're showing right here. They're like, okay, it's a bunch of Raptors fan in the game, and there are lots of different people together, and there's nothing too bad going on, I guess. And it's great. That's great. But in reality, that's not how things necessarily fucking work out. And they're not showing the negative side. And this is all a part of Trudeau and the leftist narrative, right, to try to get people to not ever question the mass immigration that is coming in, right, and to only ever look at people like that. And it's we shouldn't look at them as bad, but understand that it's not just these people in the corner stores feeding pizzas to homeless people. Like I was showing yesterday, I think in Derek's stream, there was like a pizzeria in Winnipeg, and there's like a Muslim group, and they're like, we give people come here, they donate $1 and that, and then we make pizzas and give it to the homeless people. So I'm like, well, technically they're not even giving it out. They could actually be making money from this. But either way, they're showing like a puff piece about this, right? And I'm like, this is going to be good for their business as well. It's going to help them with their business. The notoriety from CBC, but that all this is doing is just trying to get you to be like, oh, well, see, these immigrants, these Muslim immigrants are great. They're building business. They're giving pizzas to homeless people. They're awesome, right? And it's like, no, they're gonna start building they're gonna watch Sharia law. They're gonna start accusing bus drivers of being racist, like this lady. They're gonna start passing their fucking laws with activist judges. No, they're gonna start praying at fucking 6 a.m. with a like that's gonna get.
I will go insane. I will fucking move out of this country. I will not stand it anymore if people are just going to put up with that shit and not put petitions and actually go to, like, I'm going to my school. The school had published, the school board and the school had published some documentation about gay pride. And they want the community to come and talk about it, and I'm going to show up. I'm going to raise a stink about it because I said, you guys are pushing out. You have your stupid fucking flag up there. It's enough. I'm sick to death about hearing about gays and you pushing Muslims on my kids. Like, why don't you push Italians? Why don't you push Spanish people? There's Spanish people in here. There's also pork and cheese people here in downtown Toronto. Like, why aren't you pushing, little Jamaica? Why does it have to be always Muslim, gays? It's enough. And you could see this whole diversity thing. The diversity is only one special area, right? Yeah, it's people got to start talking back, right? Like, people got to really start, calling this out.
Right.
I think we are, right? Like, I mean, you and I are, and others are too.
Well, here, like, where's that one video I had there with the Muslim guy who threw the fucking bottle at that kid? Oh yeah, right here. This is the one. But this is pretty crazy. here. Let's see here. Does it play here? Would it play here? I have to click on a link. But this is pretty disturbing here. So be warned.
Ich trinke jetzt Bier.
Haram, haram.
Rudi. Ja, Rudi. Hallo. Hallo. Servus. Hallo. Servus. Musst nicht auf die Freude, du. Du musst hier. Rudi, hallo, guck mal. Das ist, hallo, warte, das ist.
Smoking and drinking. That's haram.
Das ist ein Ding. Das ist ein Ding. Sag mal leise. Das ist ein Ding.
See white guy there.
Afghanistan.
Wrong part of town, son.
Afghanistan.
Yeah. So fucking brave while he's not looking.
Is that the white guy screaming? No, that was hype.
Was machst du? Ich weiß es nicht.
Well, is he going to help him now? Like, what a dummy.
Yeah, man. Some fucked up.
What do you mean? What do you mean that beer bottle cut you up and hit you in the back of your head like a tough guy? Jeez.
Right. You know.
So what happened to that kid?
Who knows? I don't know. I haven't looked into it. But you know, like, is that going to be considered like a hate crime or something? Whereas, you know, you know, the opposite probably would be true. They'd be like, oh my god, they're attacking Muslim children with bottles and shit. Here's another one, right? There's a guy.
Well, if you use the Islamic Bank example, I mean, he can just say that. Look, I didn't know that assaulting. I mean, according in my holy book, in my holy book, I mean, we can do anything we want to infidels. Anybody who's not Muslim, really anything to the women, to the men. The law doesn't apply. We can do whatever we want. So my understanding is that was perfectly valid. Oh well, thank you for the explainer on being Muslim. Okay, we're gonna take that into account when we let you off the hook.
Right. You know. Yeah, no, it's fucked up, but like, you know, I guess I'll finish the rest of this here. One sec.
I don't know if Raptors are going to win championship finals or not.
Yes, they are. Damn it. Go ahead.
Both sides see A12 will never be empty.
Yeah, I really hate that. Like, we the North, and it's coming from like a company that's not even owned by Canadians anymore. Like, we the North.
I wonder how many Canadians actually know that they're not Canadians. That's the scary part.
Well, that one Muslim girl, she doesn't consider herself one. She's like, well, I don't consider myself Canadian.
Although I'm sure if she got in trouble overseas, she'd wave that Canadian passport and be like, oh, come on, save me. Yeah, sure. Right.
Oh, most definitely.
I'm sure she was educated in Canada and has probably been born and raised here. Lovely.
Like, please, I'm Canadian. Oh, like, take me back. You know, if she wasn't Canadian, she'd be begging to be Canadian.
Yeah,
so,
she's
like,
not giving up that passport or citizenship for a damn thing.
No, right. But let's see here. Let's check out the chat here, guys. Hey, guys, thanks for everybody for joining us so far. I really appreciate it. Looks like there's a good amount of people in the chat. Hey, guys. Hey, old white guy. Hey, T-Nova, Faye, Momus, Busy. How's it going? I know a lot of good brown people, but they are pandering with this video. Yeah, exactly. We all know a lot of good brown people, right? You know, Chris, he's a good brown person. Yes, you are back.
What? No.
Roll up the rim for sodomy instructions. Tim Hortons refuses to hire natural Canadians. Yeah, exactly right. You know, Blue Raven, they don't hire natural Canadians anymore. We, you know, like I said, whenever I go into Tim Hortons, very rarely do I see, you know, old stock Canadians or anything like that. It's like somebody with Arab accent or whatnot. And yeah, it's you know, it's getting disturbing, right? And you know, I have one story kind of like about that too, where it's showing these kids, they're complaining about not getting enough work, right? These students that these foreign students. So foreign students say they have no choice but to work more than their permits allow. So, after thousands joined the effort to stop an international student from being deported, others are speaking out about why they have to work more than a maximum 20 hours a week to support themselves, right? So, personally, me, I have no real sympathy, because it's kind of like, you're coming here and shit, and I don't know, if you can't afford to just keep continuously sustain yourself, I know that sucks and it's tough, then oh well, right? It's like, even 20 hours, I would limit that to like 0, and I'd be like, no, you should just can't even work at all. You know what? No, fuck that, because you know what? The prices of like housing, renting, that goes up when people come from overseas, like these students and stuff. And if you look at the numbers that have increased under Trudeau, it's ridiculous, right? So, Sadhu's story is becoming more common as the number of foreign students has spiked in Canada over the past several years to around 600,000, while the resources needed to make sure they're properly employed and housed have not kept pace, critics say. So, no shit, right? We don't have the infrastructure for the amount of people that we're bringing in to the country. That should just be basic common fucking sense, but it's apparently not. They just keep piling people in, right? And then there's some sob stories here. It's like, they had no choice but to break the law and work for more hours and yada yada yada. The tuition fees are $25,000 for 3 semesters. It's more for international students, but that's how these universities and stuff are making a lot more money too, right? They're charging them more because they can, but that also raises the prices for other people. It's not good for anybody. So, I have no sympathy. And what they want to do is give these people permanent residency, right? Is one of the activists are saying. So what that would mean is they would get citizenship in 4 years after studying. So we're like, oh, but then they could work as much as they want, and they can do this and they can do that, and blah blah blah. But then you just be effectively making all these people citizens, right? Now they're no longer coming in just to use the schools; they're coming in to be citizens, which is bullshit, right? To save money in first year, Hasir says he had to share a 1-bedroom basement apartment with 3 other students. The condition of the home was deplorable, but they still had to pay $400 each a month, he says. So, oh well, it was probably some other dude that was just taking advantage of you guys or something. Anyway, somebody from your own fucking country. But, according to the government numbers, there were 915 study permit holders Ontario in 2018 compared to 199,920 in 2015. So that's an increase of 115,000 in 3 years of study permit holders in Ontario alone. That's huge. A 58% increase in study permits over that time. So Trudeau is just cranking these numbers fucking through. Ontario has seen the biggest jump in the numbers of foreign students in 3 years, but also under Doug Ford too, right? British Columbia had the second highest number of international students with 128,000 in 2015, 150,000 in 2018. So it's like more of a modest one compared to fucking Ontario. Huge number, but this woman, this activist, I don't know, maybe not her, but Hussein says the international students coming to Canada would be better protected if they were given permanent resident status upon arrival. It's not about moving some chairs around, increasing the hours to 20 to 21, Hussein says. It's much more fundamental issue. So in an email to CBC News, Immigration, Refugees, Citizenship Canada says study permit holders must abide by the conditions listed on their study permits. The email goes on to say this regulation tries to ensure that study permit holders are genuine students and that limiting off-campus work to 20 hours per week while classes in session reflects that the students generally pursuing their studies. International students are permitted, because it's like if you're working 40, 50 hours a week, then how the fuck are you doing all of your university courses and all this other shit as well, right? Like if your parents can't fucking provide for you, then I don't know, stay in India. Stay in India. I don't care. I don't care. I don't give a shit. Stay in India. International students are permitted to work full-time only outside of the academic year or during winter, spring, and summer break. So yeah, work up, work a lot. Then save some money. You shouldn't even be allowed to work then, in my opinion. But you know, I like, why is CBC promoting, like trying to make us feel sorry to make these people citizens or something? Like fuck off.
Well, actually, there's a good comment in the chat from Hiking with Steffi. It's a name I haven't seen before. Welcome. If you come to Canada for education, you should be sent home after to better your country, to expand the knowledge gained here in those regions. Brain drain. I think that's absolutely true. I mean, yeah, come to school here, fine, but go back, apply what you've learned. Like, it shouldn't necessarily, I mean, yes, this is also kind of a game that Western countries have played to essentially educate, you know, people and from other places and bring them here, and then we apply them for certain things. Absolutely, and that's worked very well. But some of those people have to go back to better their own countries. Yeah, it's hard work to build your countries from nothing to something, but it needs to be done. You just can't have the world come here, because then we'll just turn out like the world. So, anyways. Ugh.
Yeah, right. And it's just, this whole piece is to drive sympathy for these people, to try to get us to give them permanent residency. And you know, that's bullshit. You know, that's kind of also bypassing the immigration system as well. You know, so it's like another way in. Now we got these people coming in. Like, how much would that increase the amount of people coming in? Like, that would be like, Trudeau would probably want to do this because he's already trying to bring it up to, I think, 400,000 or 450,000 every year. But how is that feasible? Like, we don't have the infrastructure for that. Like, we really don't. Like, there's a story here that I have about it's like the Ontario's largest women's shelter is struggling to keep up with service demand. So maybe they'll think about the border now, but probably not. They're just gonna say we need more funding. We need more funding. We need more funding. Which is exactly what they're asking for. They're like, women had to be turned away from the Anova shelter space more than 2,500 times last year due to a lack of shelter beds. New numbers released by the organization show. But first of all, how many fucking women's shelters are there? There's probably quite a bit. And how many like men's shelters are there? Like none. But I think there's also a case of, there's probably is an increase of violence in because this is like, I think in London or Ontario. Yeah, London, Anovas, Ontario. So there's probably a lot of Muslims and shit beating their wives or whatever, but there's also a lot of Me Too women that are like, he looked at me funny. I need to stay.
I was assaulted with his eyes. Those lying eyes.
I regret sleeping with him.
They could see right into my soul. Oh, those lying eyes.
Right. It's like, even she says, when the Me Too and Time's Up movement started in fall 2017, calls to our crisis line went up and they have remained steady. They haven't gone down, Rogers said. So a bunch of hysteria hits and calls increase.
Yep.
Does this surprise anybody? But at the same time, that is expending a bunch of resources that maybe some of these shelters would have more available if there wasn't an influx of people. But I don't even know. I guess the women's shelter might be different from the actual regular shelters that those are also full. But you know, now they're gonna kind of make a big stink or whatever about this, right? But if that just has to do with the Me Too, and that's like, okay, you know, like, ladies, you know, get a hold of your fucking selves, for Christ's sakes. You know, stop dating men that are gonna beat you. First of all, like, you know, that's one of the things too, is we don't give agency to women, and It's just like, oh, how could she have known that this guy was a bad guy, this and that. It's like, fuck, man. Like, all your bad decisions cost us a lot of fucking money. A lot of money. So, women gotta get their shit in order. Same with men, obviously. I'm not saying men don't, but we gotta stop babying fucking women in general and being like, oh, it's not your fault, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I'm all for women's shelters and shit, but I think there's a massive disproportionate care for one gender compared to the other. Like, look at the funding that Trudeau is giving just recently. He's giving something like $1.4 billion every year specifically to women overseas and to African countries and all this shit. It's like you just could just completely exclude one gender. It's like, well, whatever. We get real profits from investing in women. That's where we see the real results or something. That's their I guess their way that they justify it or something, right? I don't know. But so the organization Crisis Line received 11,000 calls an average, 31 per day. That's up from 10,000 a year before, and up from 5,000 a year before that. So that's a huge fucking increase from 5,000 to 10,000 in like a year. That's ridiculous. But Roger said the data speaks for itself. Harsh reality, gender-based violence in London area, which he said is affecting record numbers of people. There's also a severe lack of affordable housing in London, so women fleeing violent situations or wanting to leave the shelter have a difficult time. So yeah, we need more affordable housing. We need more low-rent housing for single mothers who make bad decisions. Let's keep feeding into their bad decisions by giving them more money and housing and all this other shit. And you're like, fuck. Jesus Christ. I'm sick of that crap. That's why we have a lot of problems we have today, because we just, incentivize bad behavior continuously. But what I like what was going on right now, at least with Doug Ford recently, is what Hamilton School Board is cutting 173 courses after provincial changes. So this is great news, right? They're acting like this is a horrible thing, but the majority of the courses that are being cut are like arts and like humanities and family studies, and then some math and some science technology. But that's probably like, the feminist math and like the feminist diversity technology studies or something like that. I don't know, but the cuts most heavily affect classes in the arts, Canada and world studies, and humanities, family studies, making up 91%. 91 of the withdrawn courses in math, science, technology, physical education. But the board said 115 of these courses had fewer than 10 enrolled students and may have been removed in a typical year. So a lot of these courses were going to be removed anyways, but most likely because they had low attendance, which is also a good sign too. So I'm like, okay, great. A lot of people. So 29 arts? How are there 29 different arts classes? That's ridiculous. One business.
Well, when you're not spending your own money and you're spending somebody else's money, you can do whatever the heck you want.
31 Canada and world studies. So probably like, Indigenous and this and that and all that crap. 11 English. How many English classes do you need? 6 French.
If you want to speak real good, then you got to have English.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably like feminist English or some nonsense. 2 guidance studies, 31 humanities. Like what? 29 arts, 31 Canada, 31 humanities. Like what the fuck?
Well, it sounds like it's a right sizing. Frankly, it sounds like they got to really focus on priorities as opposed to fluff. So mission accomplished.
18 physical education. That's a lot of fucking physical education. 7 technology, 4 one's native, 8 math, 10 language.
Well, they're probably breaking it down. Like, for example, native language study. They might, out of those 29 arts courses, I know that my school offers like 20 language courses, Hindu, Farwa, some other languages that could be incorporated, that feminism, geography and stuff like that. But this is really a pot shot. The school boards are firing back at Ontario's new cuts. And how are they fighting back? They're fighting back by saying they're going to cut math. What a bunch of assholes. They don't have to cut math. Math was always on the curriculum when classes were small and big. Math.
Well, we don't. There's still the core maths and stuff. The core French and grade 12 college entrance math and sciences are still intact, right? A lot of these core ones are still intact, right? Like if you look into the math studies, what type of math are they studying? Because there was, I remember a little while ago, I think it was Ontario, they were teaching a certain type of math that was like new and different.
That was for grade schools, but this is high school.
Yeah, high school. You've got your calculus and algebra and all
right. So they're cutting out those things like finite math. And
I doubt they're cutting
accounting.
out algebra and all that other stuff because
depends on the enrollments too. So maybe
8 maths. Okay, so I guess are they including the APs or something with that? Because you got what, the calculus, then you got
finite.
Yeah, but AP calculus, fucking the one below that, where you use the calculator, and then the one with the retarded kids that learn how to do their taxes. You know what I'm talking about?
General accounting principles?
No, I don't know. Maybe my school. There's calculus. Then there's the one below that where you're using the computers. I haven't been in school forever. And then the ones where you use not the computers, but you use that huge calculator. And then there's the one below that, not whatever it was called, like the one where the dumb kids, went into that math class, right? Where it was just kind of
you mean like general and then advanced and basic kind of thing? The streaming.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like there's only like 3 or 4 at my high school. There's not that many different math classes. There's like 5. I'm like, what do they have? 15 different like math classes? Like what the fuck? What type of math?
I remember at my high school there's different math classes. Basic. I mean, at the time they had streaming, but they also had the various variants. And in the higher grades of high school, they had the math classes that focused on some of these specialties.
Well, yeah, that's AP. That's AP math, right? That's when you're the more advanced that you're going to use if you go into college or university or something. So you kind of get a heads up because you're learning what they're learning. I don't know. That's how it was in my school or something, right? But
maybe they're actually cutting out. It's called Afrocentric math. I don't know what that is.
I don't know, but it seems like the schools were better in the past and they didn't have so many fucking courses, and now they have an abundance of them. And you're like, but they're also going to be laying off 99 teachers after cuts. So there's definitely there's definitely bloat, and people need to be fired, right? And no, this is good. The cuts that he made is good because it will force them to make cuts. And hopefully, I don't think that maybe they did cut some of the masks that were essential. I don't think maybe they did. That would be very stupid, but they are run by a bunch of stupid people, so that's definitely possible. But it is a good way to force them to start to balance their own budgets, and that's why they're all losing their minds, right? Because the cuts that Doug is making at the moment is just going to make a lot of people lose their jobs at the end of the day, right? That's the reality of it. But government workers, right? Government workers are going to lose their jobs. So they're like, no, this is going to kill everybody. We're all going to die if you do this. And oh my God.
Well, it doesn't help that Doug campaigned that nobody was going to lose their job. They're going to somehow make these cuts and keep everybody's jobs. But that wasn't possible because 85% of the government's expenditure is on labor. So it's like, okay, how are you going to cut 20% but not cut people. Like, I mean, come on, that's that's not true.
That was a dumb thing to say, but
yeah,
I don't give a shit. You know, it's like I just mean like I was in Ontario. I'm in a different province. So I don't even know he said that, right? But it's just who cares, man? Fucking you're bloat. Your job is useless. You need to go. You need to go. You need to leave.
You know, I think the quality of the teacher. So I found an article here in Maclean's magazine. It says Canadian students have more math class, lower test scores.
Yeah.
They say more class time is pointless if the curriculum isn't up to par. So they've added a bunch of more hours for more math, yet they're not being effective. So
consumer math. Sorry, that's what it is. Consumer math. That's what it's.
So long ago, man. Jeez. But yeah, so they're adding a bunch of maths, but they're not being effective in the way they teach it. So it's the students are actually falling behind. Now they're 13th in the world in terms of math scores. So
yeah, we're getting dumber and dumber every day.
Yeah, and it also doesn't help that they're still pushing kids. Like it's against policy in especially the elementary grades to fail kids and make them repeat. So the kids that shouldn't be pushing forward are, and that's dragging down everybody because the teacher has to try and teach the lowest common denominator in the class to attempt to bring up the ones who are to allow everybody to catch up. But some kids aren't, so they're not being allowed to stay. So that's just dragging down the education quality for everybody. My wife was telling me about this kid at this school she volunteers at in a kindergarten. Actually, a Chinese kid of all things, but the kid doesn't know how to read, doesn't know how to write in kindergarten.
He's Chinese
ABC still, and he's Chinese. Yeah, I know.
Oh
but he's I think he's mainline Chinese, so it's a different thing.
Oh, okay, all right.
Doesn't know any of that stuff, but they're pushing him through to grade 1, and it's like, what is he gonna do in grade 1? Like, he barely knows his name. So, anyways, ridiculous.
Right. You know, sorry, but I kind of zoned out there. I was reading the chat a little bit. What was the last thing you said there? Because I think I was going to respond to that.
Dummy kid getting pushed through to grade shouldn't be dumb.
Right.
Lowest common denominator, dumb. Yep.
Yeah, you know, and that's just mostly happening. That's pretty much the gist of what you were saying, right? And
that's TLDR, baby. TLDR.
And really, it's never going to. The problem is never really going to fix itself for too much longer, because you get one government official that makes a bunch of cuts, and then some things change, but then somebody else comes in and reinstitutes all the things that other person cuts, and then brings up the bloat.
Yep.
It just goes.
We don't move forward. We just we don't move forward. We just go back and forth. Exactly.
What needs to happen is education needs to be separate from the government, and it can't have any relation with it.
Needs to be contractual,
right? Because it can't have any say whatsoever, because this will always continue to happen, right? You're always going to have these lobbyists lobby for the government. If the government has control of something, you're going to have people lobby that government to get their way, and how it's run, how the curriculum is run, this and that, right? We're being taught to be good little workers for corporations. Essentially, that's what we're being taught in schools to do, especially one grade from kindergarten to grade 12. At the very least, right? Like when you leave school, what are you good for? Practically, absolutely nothing when you leave. The grade 12 and that, until you go to higher learning or whatever, then you could be, go to more jobs or whatnot. But yeah, once you leave, grade 12, you can't really do a hell of a lot, right? With the education that they have for you, right? Especially nowadays. And it's better for them to create little consumers and little slaves and workers, because then that's less competition for them in the future, right? Why do you want to empower entrepreneurs and people that are going to go and create things that could compete with your business down the line? So you have an education, you have an incentive to get control of the education to create, I don't know, less of a competition for yourself in the future, right? But like I said, it's never going to change until it's more of a privatized system. If people let people, sometimes some people are going to teach their kids some really stupid shit, and it's not going to work out. It's going to be really dumb. But other times, other schools are going to create something that is going to teach the kids, amazingly, and they're gonna be great, entrepreneurs and great contributors to society, etc. And then eventually other people will take on that model, and they'll start, because, why wouldn't you? If you see one school getting really, really good results with their kids, why wouldn't you adopt that model, right? But right now we can't do that because, you have to follow the curriculum. You have to do it a certain way. And there's very little option to change, right? And to improve. So, that's one of the problems with the government controlling anything. Because there's no competition, you're never going to figure out one of the best ways to do anything. Like, how do you figure out the best way to do something if you can never test that against something else? How can you ever figure that out? You can't. You're just going to be under the assumption the way you're doing it is right, but you're never going to have something to compare it to say, oh, it could be done better or whatnot. You're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again and making slight, moderate results that could sometimes have positive changes. Like, I'm not saying, that's the thing too. It's not like inevitable. Like, sometimes you can get a government or some leader that is smart and that makes some good changes to your government or to your economy that's going to be really beneficial, and has a lot of foresight, right? And was like, ahead of their time or whatever. But generally, no. It's the option. The more times you're going to get it right with the government, you're going to get it right with the free market a lot more often, right? You're going to get it right occasionally with the government. With the free market, it's going to cycle all this so much quicker, and you're going to get, new and better options at a much higher rate and speed than you would when you just have a monopoly on a system. But, that's the educational system that we're in. And a lot of people are reluctant to go to a private system though too, right? Because they're like, well, I'm poor and my kids are not going to be able to learn and blah, 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 right?
Well, I'll tell you this, at least in Ontario, I was recently, one of my oldest son, he's 5 years old. He's turning 6 in a couple of weeks, actually, two or 3 weeks. And so he's getting ready to go into kindergarten. Sorry, he's in senior kindergarten. He's getting ready to graduate to grade 1. So we moved to the city that we're in a couple of years ago. He was still going to a school in our old city, just a city over. So we're looking at options. I mean, yes, obviously the public school is of course an option up here, but looking at private school options. And school after school we went to, really the situation in Ontario at least is that once kids get to grade 1, the school has to follow the provincial curriculum to ensure that at least certain milestones are reached from grade to grade. So even if they truly want to innovate, and let's say, we're not going to treat certain things in grade 1, but we're going to make sure that by grade 6, everything that needs to be taught between grades 1 and 6 is learned by the child. Even if they really wanted to do that, they really can't. Because they still have to make sure, no, the school environments can be better, the student to teacher ratio can be better, those smaller classes, maybe the quality of learning can be better, but ultimately they have to follow the curriculum to ensure that certain things are taught every single year. So I just didn't really see the advantage in terms of paying my taxes for public school and then paying again for a private option when, I might as well just send my kid to a public school when the time comes. So didn't just see much advantage to it other than nice uniforms. So in junior kindergarten, senior kindergarten, they can change things up. That's where you have Montessori's and everything else. Well, after grade 1 or starting in grade 1, even the Montessori schools are following the regular curriculum, period. With a smaller, what you get with the private school is more like a smaller teacher-student ratios. So you don't have a class of 30 kids with one teacher. You might have a class of 15 or 20 kids with 2.
Right. And that's the thing too, right? You need smaller classes, and obviously that's better. It's smaller is obviously better than bigger. And because the teacher will have more time with the student, right? But then again, like I was saying, we don't know what the best thing is for education. So that's why we need it to be on the free market, to have competition, so we can figure out the best way to educate children, as opposed to doing it the way that we're doing it now, right? So that's just my 2 cents on that. But let's check out another article here. 1 second. I got another thing about the Raptors I could bring up, but I don't know if you guys want to talk about that a little bit more.
I know Chris does. I have
maybe a little palate cleanser. I got to drop in about 10 minutes, but yeah, maybe a little palate cleanser with the Raptors, and I'll dip out.
Well, actually, Raptors. So this is from the New York Times that wrote this. So it's like Raptors fever takes Toronto as a diverse city embraces a team that looks like it.
Sure.
So, it's like basketball has always been a big part of our lives, said Nazir, whose parents immigrated from Pakistan. The sports said 13-year-old Nazir cousin is multicultural. It includes everybody, so it's just, that's what I'm just saying. Like, I'm just piece after piece after piece. I'm seeing like, oh, it's so great. And it's like, Jesus Christ. It's like, I don't mind that, like I was saying before, that it's diverse and shit, but it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, each and every day. It's like, and it kind of like reinforces the whole tribalism thing, because, that this guy, he's like, in the story, the guy's like, well, I like it because it's people that look like me. And in hockey, you only see white people playing hockey, said Andrew Nguyen, 19, whose parents came to Toronto from Vietnam. But basketball is more like what the nation is like, right? So, already, but basketball is more like what the nation is like. So maybe in Toronto, right? But already and that's, to some people, that's not a big deal. It's great. Canada's multicultural, but to me, it is a big fucking deal. I don't want Canada to be a fucking multicultural mess, because it's not going to be good. It's going to be horrible. And that's bullshit. Fuck that shit. No. Like, no, our sport is hockey. I don't even like hockey, but our sport is hockey, but it's going to be fucking basketball and cricket soon. And
well, the difference between basketball and cricket is that 7 million people in Canada don't watch cricket, but 7 million people watch the last basketball game. So that's the difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just throwing the cricket thing out there as kind of a joke, but like, right.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
it's all history now, but it's just frustrating to me. And but maybe it's I'm just a white man, and I'm my last dying breath in the Canada. It's no longer for me. I'm not on top anymore.
Listen, I'll make it really simple for you when it comes to sports. The Raptors are winning at a high level, and the hockey teams in Canada are not, and have not for a very long time. So once they start winning again, you're going to see all these flip-floppers start to put on Leafs jerseys and Vancouver Canucks jerseys and all other stuff.
But in this article,
winning hockey teams, this
is exactly what the guy said too. He said that if the Raptors were or the hockey team was in the same situation, that people wouldn't be reacting the same way. So where did this article say this? He said most people he knew preferred basketball to hockey because not a lot of people can afford that equipment, which I agree with, right?
Yep.
Me growing up, I was poor, right? So yeah, I couldn't afford fucking hockey equipment. I could play soccer and basketball and a few other things like that, right? But well, that's a big challenge too. I mean, basketball, you need a hoop, which is everywhere, and a ball, which is what $5-10 or whatever a basketball costs.
Somebody asked how many Canadians play on the Raptors. There's at least one, I think. Yeah, one. Chris Boucher from Montreal plays for the Raptors. He's a young guy. You're gonna see him more in future years. But anyways, but the accessibility to the sport to allow kids to play is huge. Like when I played hockey in school, it was only like floor hockey in gym class, and it never really occurred to me as much as an awesome as a goaltender as I was, and a defenseman, I was pretty remarkable. I should have been in the NHL. Anyways, just joking. But I never really occurred to me to play, even ask my parents to sign me up for hockey because the cost was ridiculous. And I think they got to find a way to lower the cost of entrance, because basketball is so accessible. People like to play it. And
that's true.
So that's a big factor in it as well. It's really something that anybody can play with, no barrier. You just need a ball and a hoop, and those are everywhere. So
that's true, to an extent, right? And it's like, basketball and all that stuff is just way too
can somebody take away his wrench? Go ahead.
Jesus Christ, basketball. Ah!
Fred, take your sleeping pills and go to bed.
I hear Raptors anymore.
Let us enjoy our bread and circuses conversation, okay?
As I was saying, or Fredrick had his outburst. Basketball is a lot cheaper. Yes, I agree, right? And there's something to say about making hockey more accessible for kids and stuff like that, right? And I think it's just an example of the changing demographics of Canada as well, though, right? And it's just that it's true that basketball is accessible and stuff, but so is lacrosse and stuff, right? Or whatever, I don't know, but I don't know. I just see it. It's just the changing Canada, and it's an example of that. And like I was saying in this article, I don't know where he was saying where a few black players in National Hockey League is proud of his son, but he's like, where did he say? He's like, it's overwhelmingly white sport. It's just it's not something that. But even the thing is, like, okay, people don't like it because it's overwhelmingly white sport, but the majority of the fucking basketball players are black, right?
Yeah, and white people white people love them.
but everybody is like, well, all these people, they just can't see. It just reinforces the whole tribalism thing, because people are like, I can't identify and get pleasure from watching hockey because they don't share my skin color, right? And they're like, okay, so who's the real racist here?
You.
Is it white people who can watch any?
I'm sorry.
Right, I am racist.
I'm just kidding, man. Go ahead.
Is it white?
You walked into that one.
Is it white people that can watch any group of people and get enjoyment from it and not have to share their skin color? Or is it a bunch of other people who have to fucking look the same to get any type of enjoyment out of it? Like all the people in movies and stuff. And, I can understand if in America, like maybe like where maybe black people represent like 13% of the population, and then they're never represented in movies for like a really long time. Okay, I get you, right? I can understand that. But yeah, right? Like if you really can only get enjoyment from something if the person looks like you and all that stuff. And there is something to that too. Don't get me wrong. Like, I do empathize in some ways, or can put myself more in a character that looks more like me or shares my race, my heritage, right? There is something to that, but it's just, yeah, right. I just find that like you were saying, there's a lot of white people that like basketball, right? That like this, that like that. It's like, they have no problem watching, other sports. But but it's even, And that's the thing too. It's like it's a lose-lose situation, because if white people like that, then it's like, oh, well, you just like watching black people play sports because it's like you're a slave master watching your slaves walk around or something. You're like, oh my God. And then the same with the basketball, or I mean football too. It's like, oh well, just a bunch of white men own a bunch of black people. This is exactly like slavery and yada 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 yada. Other than like they're making tons of millions of dollars every fucking time they go out and play the goddamn game. And then a bunch of white people are giving them money and fans and support. But then it's like, oh, you treat us like we're slaves and we're your monkeys playing for you. And it's like, Jesus Christ, they're just watching your fucking sport. Christ's sakes.
Oh my God! Somebody in the chat mentioned. Sorry, somebody in the chat mentioned lawn darts. You guys remember lawn darts? It's that, like, I used to play with that shit. That's an old Canadian pastime, isn't it?
I don't even think it's a Canadian thing. I think it's just a summer pastime on the lawn.
My neighbor once
along with the lawn bowling pitch.
My neighbor once caught just the neighbor's dog. It was the dog was okay, but he threw it too high, and you know those darts are huge, right? I remember that shit. I remember a lot of good stuff in this country. Floor hockey. Actually, they started playing floor hockey at my YMCA. I haven't seen that in a long time. Yeah, that's great.
That's great. I always like playing floor hockey.
Yeah. Come out and join me.
Well, folks, I have to drop off. I have to actually write an exam at this hour. I have to do it online, and I need to get some sleep. So that is it for me. But Fred and AJ, please feel free to continue on the call. And
don't tell me what.
Sure. That's funny. I'm gonna head out too. I gotta do some reports for a VP tomorrow who's not pleased with me. I'll probably get fired soon and be replaced by a brown guy who likes basketball.
Yeah. I'll just end out the stream then. If you guys are gonna, I might just cover one more thing or something, or two more things, and duck out.
Yeah.
Read the chat a little bit. Hey, Slender Chunk, how's it going, buddy?
So
you're cutting out. You're cutting out, buddy.
Yeah, okay, I can stay on if you're gonna stay on for a bit.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna dip out. Go Raptors, and congratulations to the St. Louis Blues. That's your concluding Bread and Circuses update for the evening.
It seems so.
Take care. Bye.
Take it easy, man. Have a good
Golden
one.
Golden State.
Let's.
Bye.
Golden State.
I'm gonna cut out because I'm having issues with my network. I mean, it's the team that they're playing. I don't know. I don't care. I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna also cut it off here because I'm having issues with my PC. Yeah. You're cutting in and out, and it's probably on my end for sure. But check we'll be back on Saturday. You're coming on Saturday, right, AJ? So you said that what's her name? Faith Goldie had reached out to you, right?
Yeah. She reached out to me there on Telegram.
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, she reached out to me on Telegram.
Yeah,
Hello?
so you might want to ask her if she wants to come on. Yeah, I'm still here, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Well,
it looks like I'm having issues. Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon, though.
All right, guys. It's been a good. Yep. Cool. All right, man.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.
Bye.
And thanks, everyone. We'll see you on Saturday.
Take it easy.
Take care.
Have a good one, man. Peace. All right, guys. So it's just me. Oh, my fucking screen is turned off there. Hey, guys. What's up? So just I'm going to end it off here. Well, I'm not going to end yet. Maybe I'll stick around for a little bit. I haven't had a solo stream for a little bit. So, I'll stick around for a bit. Hey, guys. Hey, Slender, man. How's it going, man? Long time no see, buddy. And, BM's there. It's causing shit in the chat. I'm gonna censor you, BM, and then you're gonna cry and complain and bitch and you know, do what you do. Let's check out the chat here. Hey, MaidenLiberty, you're still here. Enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream too, right? You know, it covered. Let me know if you guys want to see some other stuff too, right? If you guys want more Canadian topics, more American topics, etc. Also, yeah, I wanted to mention Derek, Rants Derek. He had a petition that he wanted people to sign on one of his channels, like a free speech channel or a free speech petition. So, you know, go to his channel, sign there. I'll try to find it so I can share it in the description. They can make their country nice, so they take their lazy traits and bring them over into our country and ruin our once great lifestyle, right? You know, and that's the thing too, right? I agree that, you know, Canada, it's not that a lot of people that are coming are necessarily lazy, but, you know, if we're bringing in highly educated people, sure, okay, but they're bringing in their families. They're bringing in their elders. Trudeau is increasing the amount of family reunification that people can bring in. And then after he did that, a bunch of them sued. So then they want to bring in, so then they let in even more family members because they're like, oh, but the thing happened so quickly. We didn't have time to show up. Blah, 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 blah. We want to get into country too. We have a right to your country because whatever reason, you know, we're related to this fucking person. And you're like, no, you're not. You know, we're selling our country out day in and day out, and I'm sick of it, right? But you know what? Both parties are going to continue to do it. The Liberals and the Conservatives are going to continue to do it. Vote Maxime Bernier. Vote Maxime Bernier. Do it. Just do it. I know you don't want to do it. I know you don't want to do it, but just fucking do it, man. You know, Scheer's a cuck. Scheer's a cuck. Look, okay, just for example about Scheer, right? I was going to share this one story earlier. So Scheer won't pledge to end bailout. So opposition leader Andrew Scheer yesterday would not commit any future Conservative cabinet to repealing a $559 million media bailout under the Income Tax Act. His remarks followed disclosure of an untenured Post media endorsed Conservatives in the 2015 campaign. We're going to have our own plan, you know. So yeah, what he wants to do is he's going to take the funds himself and redistribute them all around and try to use them to his own benefit instead, right? So, you know, not very good, right? Another story I was going to show earlier is like riding with most immigrants voted Liberals by a landslide and other things we learned from federal elections result. So the swath of red ridings that propelled Justin Trudeau to a thunderous Liberal victory Monday boast more newcomers as a percentage of the population than any other party's territory. So lots of immigrants voting for the Liberals here. Lots and lots. And that number is not going to change anytime soon. So in 2011, it was a little bit different, right? But, you know, I guess Liberals are starting to promise a little bit more, a lot more than the Conservatives are. And this is when the Liberals weren't as far left as they are now. But, you know, in general, you know, these figures are for all immigrants, regardless of when they came to Canada. So hugely disproportionate for the left, you know, and this is always the case, right? This is always going to be the case. Red. They're not going to stop voting in this fucking manner anytime soon. But let me check the chat here. You see, I agree. 40% not voting unless there is an independent in my riding. Oh, well, I got somebody in my riding now, so. But yeah, if you got somebody in a riding, vote for them. For Mark, Canadianpoli, running for BBC in my city. White guy hit the nail on the head. His nickname for Scheer is Sperm Cheeks. Yeah, Sperm Cheeks. Globus R, and then he went to law school with. Please. Okay, well, you know, everybody's a shill, man. You know, everybody's a shill at the end of the day. So, you know, vote for who you want to vote for, I guess. But I'm pretty much out of water there. But yeah, guys, actually, it's getting pretty late. I think I'm gonna end it right about now. I'm getting pretty tired, but thanks everybody for coming to the stream. I appreciate it. Hopefully, you guys can come check out Saturday's stream on Fredrick's channel. But you know, that's about it, guys. I hope you all have a great night and take it easy. See you later.